Anyone who has played Resident Evil Village knows full well the amount of references and Easter eggs that the developers have carefully integrated into the story. A dynamic blend of funny quips involving boulder punching, throwbacks to previous games,
why do I even keep this around? I should get rid of it someday.
and even revelations that have some serious implications for the entire Resident Evil storyline as a whole. But we aren't here to discuss those. Instead, I want to approach some of the content in Resident Evil Village from a different perspective, and see if we can't find some similarities between the latest installment of a well-loved survival horror series and a world-renowned anime series from over a decade ago, FullMetal Alchemist. Now, a lot of these will be a stretch, but I think I've found some similarities which might show how certain design choices were influenced, whether they were intentional or not. I'm going to start with a quite on-the-nose comparison. In the Beneviento house, Ethan finds himself in a room with a human-sized doll designed to look like his wife Mia. Through examining this doll, Ethan finds clues on how to navigate through the puzzles in the area. One clue, however, presents itself in a specific yet familiar manner. This is very similar to how the homunculus symbol appears on King Bradley's eye in FullMetal Alchemist. Next, we're going to jump to the concept of creation. Both the four lords of Resident Evil Village and the homunculus of FullMetal Alchemist have the initial appearance of being otherworldly, monstrous even. Yet one similar theme is that through the midpoint of the stories, it is revealed that all the antagonists mentioned in their respective series were actually created using a somewhat supernatural source of energy. For Miranda, it was the Metamycete, and for Father, it was the merging of truth with Hohenheim, and then the creation of the Philosopher's Stones. In both cases, we see the creation of powerful creatures emanating from a supposed leader, one called Mother and one called Father. We've discussed my more solid comparisons, so now we're going to venture into links that are only speculative, but I'm trying to pad the video out, you know what I mean. I want to approach the idea that the characters in Village can be linked to the same sins that the homunculi in FullMetal Alchemist embody. I'm going to go through each one of the characters and their respective sins and how they display their traits in their actions. It is worth noting that the characters in Village are not one-dimensional, much to the credit of the writers, and often display traits that can be linked to several of the concepts of sins. I just feel that most of them have a clear and appropriate match. First off, Lady Dimitrescu. Now this one should be quite straightforward. No, it's not lust, that would be the internet. Lady Dimitrescu is portrayed as a vampire-esque character, a purveyor of the finest delicacies, and even has her own vineyard. Dimitrescu and her daughters have clearly been living lives of luxury and are used to getting what they want, often resulting in furious outbursts when they don't get it. I believe gluttony is the best match for the Dimitrescu family on a whole, especially given Alcina's eagerness to take Ethan at the start. Much like the order of the game, we now move on to Donna Beneviento, who I think embodies envy more than any other trait. This is probably one of the biggest stretches of the video, but please bear with me. So Donna is portrayed as a lonely character, evidenced by her creation of doll compatriots. They're even given their own persona, such as Angie. The Beneviento portion of the game is a short but harrowing journey, displaying the full effect of Donna's hallucinogenic abilities. This was initially used to portray something that Ethan desired, such as Mia. It was then warped and turned horrific, much the same with Rose later in the level. I feel this method of attack comes across as personal and spiteful more than anything, and we do see elements of dialogue that suggest jealousy.
I'd make a much better daughter than Rose. Please, won't you stay with me?
Not to mention that the final segment in this area involves chasing Angie, who actually turns out to be Donna, much like how Ethan is chased after Mia in RE7 and Rose in Village. I think that Donna wanted Ethan to chase after her and was envious of Mia and Rose, so she attempted to warp Ethan's perspective of them. Next we move on to Salvatore Moreau, the horribly disfigured punching bag of the Four Lords. Moreau lives an existence that I believe is driven from lust. Now this can be brought into question whether Moreau's actions and dialogue embody lust or just pure devotion, but I think the argument can be made for both. Moreau has two lines of dialogue which clearly demonstrate his feelings towards Mother Miranda.
Mother Miranda, if it's for you, I'd do anything.
Again, these can often be interpreted as a doting son wanted nothing more than a mother's attention. However, there is one other line which suggests something a little bit more than that. This line was phrased like this intentionally, and I believe it's due to Moreau actually wanting Miranda to be his own. I will admit, this can be interpreted differently, and could be aimed even towards Rose, and not Ethan in that situation, as Moreau had already displayed previously his attitude towards Rose and the ceremony in one of the documents within the level. Up next, we have everyone's favourite villainous master of magnetism, Heisenberg. A fan favourite due to his unexpected charisma and his duplicitous demeanour, the character of Heisenberg displayed a constant theme throughout his scenes within the game: rage. We see it when he's arguing with Dimitrescu near the start of the game.
Shut your damn mouth! And don't be a sore loser! Go find your food somewhere else.
We see it again when Ethan finally meets up with him and Heisenberg expresses his desire to get revenge on Mother Miranda for what she had done to him.
Lady, supersized bitch. Ugly ass psycho doll. And that moronic freak. Don't you get it? It's a test. To see if you're strong enough to be a part of Miranda's family.
I don't want to be a part of Miranda's family.
Neither did I, but here we are. And I'm next in line, right? Kill me, move up the chain. Well, fuck that!
Prone to numerous outbursts, clearly the sin that represents Walter White more than any is wrath.
Shut your fucking hole!
Not to mention the fact that in both FullMetal Alchemist and in Village, the strongest individual was slated to be the embodiments of wrath, both King Bradley and Heisenberg. Moving on, I want to examine one of the more mysterious and intriguing characters of the game, the Duke. The Duke follows you around for the vast majority of the game, ensuring you are always able to purchase his wares. He makes it clear that his motivations revolve solely around money and valuables, so obviously the Duke represents greed. He doesn't shed a tear at the demise of the Lords, his only interest lies in the value of their belongings.
Oh, Lady Dimitrescu. Beautiful even in death. That waistline, yes. This is Lord Moreau's? I suppose it's what they call the beauty of the grotesque.
Seemingly on Ethan's side, the Duke provides weapons, ammunition, information, and even helped Ethan on his final journey to kill Miranda, similar to how greed also helped the Elric brothers in their fight against Father in FullMetal Alchemist, though the Duke did so in a much more indirect manner. The penultimate character, who matches the criteria of the sins, and who I think matches the sin of pride, is none other than Chris Redfield himself. Although it was Miranda who made the first move, it was Chris's decision to take action on his own, well, within his squad, and that's completely independent of Ethan.
What? Why?
This mistake set off a chain of events that resulted in the start of Ethan's journey. Although this served to benefit Chris in the end, it came with costs that he would have to live with. We often see Chris Redfield take matters into his own hands throughout the entire series, and although we know just how capable he is, he does too. This arrogance resulted in Miranda getting the window she needed to enact her plan, and it was only when Chris admitted he was wrong and allowed Ethan to help that Miranda's plan was foiled.
Told him.
Yeah.
And now we come to the final character, which embodies the sin of sloth. I left this to last because I think it's the biggest reach of the video, as I struggled to actually find a character which embodies sloth. In the end, I actually decided on
Ethan Winters.
Mr. Winters.
Poor Ethan.
Now, initially, this doesn't make sense, because arguably Ethan is the most hard-working man in the universe. The lengths he went to in order to save his wife and daughter are far from what would be classed as lazy. But after a long and in-depth study and a refutable source, I found that the definition of the word sloth is derived from the Latin term acedia, meaning without care. Now, I don't know about you, but I would say that the vast majority of Ethan's actions are done without care. Ethan powers forward regardless of this. And that's that. Now I know there aren't any real links between FullMetal Alchemist and Resident Evil Village, but I thought it would be fun to highlight a few bits of content within the game which may have been inspired by the content of FullMetal Alchemist. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was my first attempt at anything like this, so if you did enjoy it, please leave a like and comment if you'd like to see more stuff like this. Ta-ra!